so true. Bringing you politics and history too. Dive into stories that shape our view. BX has got the facts for you. BX the storyteller, bringing the spark, no one does it better. BX, you've heard the rest, but she's the best, yeah, she's the best. From ancient tales to modern schemes, unraveling truths and chasing dreams.
Rich rising, Eagles fan, rich rising, rich rising. Rich rising, hot tub Tony. My room is an echo chamber. You won't find tethers here. Every now and then, one or two may slip through, especially those pesky natives, Native Americans. But for the most part, I keep an echo chamber. Here, you could vent about anything you want, right? I just ask that the language remains TikTok friendly. For Women's Month, we are making it National Women Chisholm for presidency, but she ran under the Communist Party. We have Barbara Jordan. We know she worked with President Clinton, and she was against immigration the way that we know it today. I broke up. Can you hear me? Am I breaking up? And then when my internet looks strong. Okay, good. So I was just introducing Charlene Mitchell, Barbara Jordan, Fannie Lou Hamer. And so each were political activists, right? Voting rights activists, organizers, congresswomen. So Barbara Jordan is the congresswoman and orator. Charlene Mitchell was a political activist and leader. She actually ran for presidency before Shirley Chisholm, but not too many know her name. And Sister Wolfie is the one who introduced me to Charlene Mitchell and Barbara Jordan, honestly. So Charlene Mitchell ran for presidency under the communist Fannie Lou Hamer. We all know her name, right? Voting rights activist, and she was an organizer. An interesting tidbit about Fannie Lou Hamer: she has a song "Keep Your Lamps Trimmed." Yeah, I love that song. It's said to be a song for hoodoo, if you're into hoodoo. Google doesn't have that as a resource, so that's probably in, our oral history. But she says the work is done. So I'm not going to give away too much secrets, but yes, that's our Fannie Lou Hamer. We do know that she was a victim of sterilization. So she was never able to have children. And I told everybody to be here by 11. And I have, so they probably over there. But shouldn't stop my show. I also put my on YouTube, and I give the link out to those I trust, right? Because that's another safe space for us. And then I meet a lot of people over there who be like, BX, I was looking for you. You won't let me onto your TikTok. I mod for a lot of great people. One has just entered the room, misbehavior. And so I get enough for the tethers, on there. Right, because my room is private. It's literally private. Like, you would have to message them like BX is live. And if they're on my on my followers list, they could come through. But I protect my peace at all costs, Hot Tub Tony, right? So my page is definitely a safe space. Sometimes the lineage goes at each other here, and we have to mediate that way. However, you won't find too many tethers and stuff over here. Immigrants, if you want to have that discussion, you have enough platforms to do that. I like for us to talk without interrupting, because they tend to center themselves. Let me turn this down a little bit. They tend to center themselves. I think they've been centered enough. So this is definitely a safe space. If y'all want, y'all could come up and discuss whatever you want. I do have some topics. So the topics are good. Jasmine Crockett. Will Yvette Clarke and AOC stand a chance this midterm election season? And who else should get the boot? Right? So I want to remind everybody that Yvette Clarke, who's very problematic, and AOC are up for re-election. Now, I looked at the court and disband academic. He's trying to get us in the mindset that it's not just enough to get them out of office. We got to get our tails in how to get a seat in New York, right? So by April, I would have to have a certain signatures and file the paperwork. I asked everybody who was in the live with us to look at their city and state, even if they don't plan to make a run. They may know somebody who might express some interest, and the best thing to do is be prepared with the information, so that way you can help steer some of us in those seats. So it's going to be a process. It took decades to get for us to become aware of what they've been doing all this time. It's does have Maryland Tech. We check that information. So it's frustrating. And then when you realize, and I have to hold us accountable for some things, right? Sometimes we gatekeep information from ourselves, not the Boulay way or the D9 way, right? But it's like pulling teeth sometimes. You'd be like, well, how'd you get your nonprofit? Oh, and that's as far as the conversation goes. Um, I am an urban fiction author. So in 2015, when I went into the industry, it was very cliquish, but I would always do things like have interviews for them, give them resources. I even tell people how to write a book to get over the procrastination. You don't find too many people like that. Everybody wants like a payday. And so whereas I was paying 200 for my platform to interview them, the man who ran the platform was like, you should charge the authors. And I was like, nah, you know. And so we need more of those, nah, I ain't gonna charge them. Sometimes we have to sacrifice a skill set. There is a lady named Black Royal Beauty, and she used to host live. The thing with me is sometimes people are guilty by association. So I know how to part ways. Yeah, I had to part ways from some people, but check out her lives because she does host very good lives and business minded, business filled, and free information guides. Sorry, I had to mute up my son. We're looking for the delivery guy for our breakfast. Yep, yep. And here comes little brother. Hopefully he's. Good morning, little brother. TikTok be snitching when you think you're in the hallway just looking in. The empty box always shows the profile picture. So I'm gonna go ahead and read about Charlene Mitchell, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Barbara Jordan, and hope that the people I told to come will make it, right? So that way they could provide their insight. And here comes Mr. Ether. Good morning, Mr. Ether. So, and this is based off of a Google AI overview. I pay for Gemini too, so Rich Rising, Mr. Ether. Mr. Ether, I'm saying Rich Rising to you. He goes on mute.
How we doing?
All right, all right. I told
Good day to
everybody
you.
to be here by 11, and Thank you. Good morning, Nikki, Rich Rising. So, just information. Charlene Mitchell is a political activist who ran for presidency before Shirley Chisholm, but yet not too many know her name. Sister Wolfie told me about Charlene Mitchell and Barbara Jordan. Wolfie, her credit for that. Very knowledgeable in Black American history, right? I know that sometimes, we get into little tussles, but she did tell me about Charlene Mitchell, Barbara Jordan. We all know Fannie Lou Hamer. We know that she was a voting rights activist. We also know that she faced some trauma when they sterilized her, right? Now, Barbara Jordan worked with President Clinton, and she was against immigration in the way that we know it today. In fact, I believe she helped him set up the legal framework for expedited removal, meaning the misbehavior goes live. Um, Barbara Jordan set up the legal framework, helped Clinton set up the legal framework for expedited removal, meaning the illegal immigrants do not have due process in this country, depending on the way they came in. That was right. Doing what he's doing with ICE and setting the new immigration or his executive orders. People get mad. Well, they got due process, and I remind them in 1996 the legal framework went up, and other administrations uh, followed it and made it their own. So, you know, do with that information what you will, but I argue they don't have any due process. Due process is being allowed to go back to your country unscathed, unharmed, and with the cash you was able to save, or if you opted to self-deport. But how are you doing this morning, Mr. Issa? Before I read about the ladies, not at all.
Stop by and say hey, cause I got a lot of things I need to do today, and I might go live on my
Is that the
backup
little
page.
one?
That's my backup, by the way.
Okay, I'm following it.
Yeah, you was gonna add something?
I am following it. I was saying, is that a little one I hear in the background?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my youngest.
Okay, so I know what your Saturday is looking like. They want breakfast, they want cartoons, or they want to go outside because you are in the South. How's the weather out there?
It's nice and warm now. I thought winter was gonna last,
See?
a little bit longer, but yeah. So we gotta leave. We gotta do stuff. Take care of the house, take care of the yard, and
Yeah.
go ahead and hit the park and stuff. So yeah, this day is for them.
I don't have no. Yeah, mine's are grown and they do their own thing. They only call on mama when they need something. I'm joking, but they are grown.
I
So,
know how it
really
is.
quickly, right? You know how it is? Okay, okay. And I don't have no grandbabies yet. And all the tethers running around talking about, Granny, you're too old to talk like that. The age, I never thought I'd be a victim of ageism, right? I don't want to say a victim, but when I was growing up, I am 51. But when I was growing up, we respected our elders. So it's like when you hit 40, you look at your auntie like, that's a cool auntie. She's 40, but she's single. They tell you about your relationship and stuff like that. In the 50s and 60s, like we honored the elders. And we understood age was wisdom for most. We look at the elders like y'all kind of stuck in y'all ways and y'all need to get out of that. I'm just saying, how I was raised. All these younger generation, not all but many, are like acting like they don't want to live to be my age. They, the way they be talking about you, oh, you this, you. Should we worry about the on a porch or a stoop, wherever the hell it is you want to sit? You don't imagine yourself with your descendants? I just find that weird. Mr. Ether.
Yeah, I agree, but also your connection was kind of breaking up a little bit through the middle of it, so some of it I didn't catch, but I got the gist of
Ah,
it though. I know.
right.
I know, and it's kind of
Sorry for that.
it's also kind of a delay. I don't know. Are you on your computer?
No, I'm on my regular phone, but it is kind of gloomy outside, rainy.
Mm, okay.
Sun is up early too on his computer. We share the same what's that called? Wi-Fi.
Okay. Yeah,
Can
that's
you hear me
that's
clearly
probably what it
now?
is. Yeah, I can hear you clearly now,
Okay.
but
Mhm.
there was a delay, so like I would say something, then 3 seconds later you'll hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, that happens to me a lot. Good morning, Eagles, Rich
Okay.
Rising. No, I was just wondering why the youth do not envision themselves at a certain age. Like they practice a lot of ageism.
Oh, I think that's just people being young. That's ignorance. They don't really because I used to when I was young, I was always around old folks, but I didn't really see myself as old, and I'm still kind of don't see myself as old until I look at myself on camera. I'm like, sheesh, I'm old, even though I'm in my 30s. But I think that's just a normal thing, because you're you're looking in the mirror, you've been seeing yourself this whole time, you can't really see yourself in the future. People think they can, but we don't know what we're gonna look like. So unless you're one of these people who take really, really good care of yourself, you know. Like there was a dude who talking about he in his 50s and he look like he in his 30s, you know, because he just take care of himself like that. So yeah, this whole thing about ageism, yeah, they, you know, I think it's one of those things where it's a conversation around the divide between old and young, and people have had the conversation. So I think they're just going off of some of the stuff that they've heard, you know, and they don't, and we don't know. Okay, we just don't know. And they're also, you know, some people are taught to be humble, but a lot of us aren't, you know. So I like to learn from people who are older than me, you know. But yeah, not we as young people. It's just natural for us to have that arrogance about us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, I don't know. I think I was raised in the era where it's when the elders say, "Do as I say, not as I do," and we were just expected to. And so we couldn't call an elder by their first name. That was a big no-no. We couldn't kiss our teeth and put our hands on our hip. Like I was raised by real boomers, so I just find certain things weird, like ageism. I'm not saying you got to respect every elder because some elders are just stuck in their ways, and that mentality of do as I say, not as I do can be harmful, right? Because you don't even know what's going on in current climate. So I'm not voting. Like voting, that some of them are on voting. They need to be a little bit more flexible with that. You're old. That's just like crazy. But do I know what I'm talking about? You know? So that's what I
Yeah,
find.
and I hear a lot of that from people with foreign backgrounds more than anything. I don't really hear that from like,
Right.
you know, FBA views. I hear that from people who, you know, come from a place where their life expectancy is low, so they don't really have a lot of old people to look up to like that, you know. So yeah,
Right.
I don't know
Uh,
who, you know, personally who you're referring to and everything, but that's my experience.
no, yeah, I'm referring to the younger generation. Yeah, that would be them. You're right, the foreign background. But shout out to FBA Red. I see he did enter the room. Go ahead, Mr. Ether. Yeah, you're right. It is the sorry, my delivery. But yeah, so you're right. It
It's
is
all good.
them. But if you, I'm from New York, so it's like sometimes you see the elders. I guess when they live here, they have elders. Like, so they have 80 and 90-year-old Caribbean background, you know, elders that they wouldn't talk to like that. Because the Caribbean, I heard, discipline their children worse than Big Mama Switch. So I don't know what that is. Maybe they just taking out their pent up frustration on those of us who are older. But
Well,
I
I
gotta say,
mean,
shout out to the FBA. Thank you, son. Generations. Nobody entered the room. Shavu, Kiki, but she's not around as of lately. Halo. They actually. I was an elder at 48. It's a mess, and I was like, really? So, so yeah, to the SBA young generation who respects their elders, but and I got to tell you one thing: Kiki argues with everybody, right? And me and her would go at it, and then other people would look at us and be like, "Oh, I could get in and get a couple of shots on a BX," and she would immediately mute them and say, "What you're not gonna do is talk like that." It would be so weird. We was like a dysfunctional family, and they identify as Solon, and so when Mana Leo, and I'm just going all over the place, right, came out, somebody really tried to say FBA was jealous, and I was like, don't start that mess, because on TikTok, we use it interchangeably. There's like no beef with us. You know, we understand who we are and we just respect each other. So Eagles fan says, yeah, I was raised to not disrespect the older elder. If you disagree, just be respectful. Hot Tub Tony said backlash, and he says, I think the young folks have seen too many of the elders mislead them for too long, and this is backlash. Hey, I got you. I think so. In the matter of voting, I think that they definitely need to be a little bit more flexible. Understand that even their ancestors, right, their elders, were not primarily Democrats until a certain time period. So if you look like into the 1870s, right after Reconstruction, you'll find that there were towns where the majority were Republicans in South Carolina. So, and then Hot Tub Tony also states we can disagree amongst each other, but we don't let outsiders instigate. I agree. And good morning, Black Love. So, before you go, Mr. Because I know you have to go take care of your little one, I did have some topics, and it says, good riddance, Jasmine Crockett. Will Yvette Clarke and AOC stand a chance this midterm election season? And who else should get the boot? I think Gavin Newsom has to go. If he's up for re-election, he should go. And he wants to bid for presidency, if not mistaken. Go ahead, Mr. East.
Yeah, I agree. And we have over here. I think they said that Keisha Bottoms is supposed to be running for governor here, but she's supposed to be running up against Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I said, "Oh Lord, you're gonna make me choose? You're gonna make me choose for real?" So I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm what's her name? Keisha. She was already mayor of Atlanta, and during that whole 2020 uprising in Atlanta, she got on TV and started talking to us like she our damn mama and everything like that, telling us to go inside. So, I mean, I have reasons to not vote for her, and she might just give me a reason to just vote for Marjorie Taylor. So I think that she needs to stay out of office. Okay, she's too corrupt and everything like that. Fannie Lewis, she needs to stay out. But as far as Jasmine, yeah, good riddance. She's unprofessional. She's Everyone suspects her of cosplaying. She's definitely being performative. She's not a hood chick, but she's acting all hood. She's being disrespectful to our image, especially Black women's image. She's very disrespectful, and she doesn't represent us well. Okay, you can't show me another version, a Black American version of Jasmine Crockett that came before her. You can't show me. I mean, I remember you had that one legislator, politician, some elected official, and she posted a video of herself on the beach twerking upside down on a handstand, and people called her out for it. It's like, wait a minute, where are you from? And it turns out she's from the Caribbean. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you ain't representing Black women like that because we don't do things like that. Okay, so yeah, that what she's doing, Black people are turned off by it. Black people are turned off by her rhetoric, and she pretty much called us lazy and said that we don't like the LGBT people and everything. And she also put her foot in her mouth and made fun of or offended her immigrant, base. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, good riddance to her. She don't know what she's doing. She's dumb. The Democrats are dumb. Okay. Yvette Clarke, she needs to go. Okay, will she stand a chance? I don't know. I don't know the politics of those places over there where they're from and AOC as well. But I do agree that the Democrats should be a dead brand by now. Okay, and it shouldn't matter how bad the Republicans are because they've always been the same. They've always been Republicans. Okay, that doesn't matter. But if anything, we should be trying to move and vote with intention and with purpose. Okay, and I no longer see politics as a moral thing. I see politics as strictly business. So, and I think a lot of black people come around to that I will vote for a Republican. I haven't done so yet, but I mean, from the way that these last two administrations have turned out, I'm just gonna have to vote for the other guy next time. You know, just because and it ain't got nothing to do with good and bad, which they try to throw on only us. Okay, they don't do the whole moral thing when it comes to the Hispanics. The Hispanics are the reason why Trump is in office, and they're the reason why Jasmine Crockett lost, or immigrant voters. Okay, so I don't see why we should be held to the same standard. And yeah, who else should get the boot? Definitely what's his name over there? Newsom. Definitely Newsom. Okay. One, he's a Democrat. Two, he's against reparations. Three, he's talking about we're stupid. I mean, these Democrats are dumb, dumb, dumb. How do you expect to get our vote and you just can't read the room? You sit up here, y'all literally think that we're stupid. They really, really believe that we're dumb. And you know what? We gotta be dumb for voting for them. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if we voted for Gavin Newsom and Jasmine Crockett and Yvette Clarke and AOC, then I guess that would make us dumb. And I guess because of the generations that came before us, and a lot of times they condoned it, they voted for it, they conditioned the Democrats to be able to treat us a certain way, right? To come out and play the saxophone, but they're writing three strikes laws and everything like that. With Bill Clinton, they've conditioned the Democrats to treat us a certain way, and so we have to recondition them, and they don't know what to do. They're still coming out doing the same dumb stuff, and I think that we don't need a two-party system. Just go ahead and get out of here, okay? Just go ahead and get out of here, and I'm gonna land there. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And the chat agrees with you. Hot Tub Tony states we can disagree amongst each other, but we don't let outsiders instigate. I read that already. That's about the ageism. As far as politicians, he says Raphael Warnock needs to go. And then you see he's agreeing with you when he says exactly. Eagles fan 71 says, I'm sick of them with the fear mongering. Entertainers speaking for us. And that leads us to our great Malcolm X, right? The Honorable Malcolm X, where he states no other community has a celebrity as their leader. I don't even hear anybody saying leaders for their demographics, right? So we know white people love Taylor Swift, love to see her bleach blonde, no, let me stop, her, tail prance across the stage. Was happy when she got with the Travis football star there, but she's not their leader. They leave their entertainers as entertainers, right? The Latinos, I guess they was trying to make Bad Bunny some type of icon over there, but we see how that failed. But I don't really hear them saying Latino leaders, right? The small hats, I don't see them with a leader. I don't see the Native Americans with a leader. Black people are the only ones who are treated or chastised as if we are children and we need leaders. Leaders sometimes get it wrong. I argue that we really haven't had a leader since the Black Panther Party, right? So, but then it's like they upheld Jesse Jackson as a leader. They uphold Al Sharpton like he's a leader. They think the NAACP speaks for us, the Urban League speaks for us, all these organizations that are really out of touch with grassroots. And I think that the code operates just fine. Delineation is doing what it needs to do, even if it's moving at a slower pace. And we don't need a leader as long as we have integrity, a good moral compass, and we understand that everything we do is in spirit of the ancestors, right? That's my spin on it. So we don't need these leaders. We don't need somebody telling us we don't need reparations because we'll mess it up. Like, you don't do that to any other demographic. You don't poll us on what the Native Americans should get, the Latinos, the small hats, the this, the that, the third. I didn't even know MENA was delineated from the white T status, but they did without any input from Black Americans. I didn't know that the Puerto Ricans were delineated from the Hispanics until I read the name of an association and said, that's interesting. Everybody gets to say they have a diaspora too. The Caribbean states they have a diaspora. But conveniently on this app and probably in real life, because other resources will say it, the Black diaspora includes everybody and they're making Black synonymous with Africa. We don't need Africa as a leader of anything because Africa can't even lead themselves. So we need some ethnic autonomy. That means in matters of reparations, in matters of how we identified, in matters of how they appropriate our history. So even to go back to your question, Mr. Ether, Yvette Clarke and AOC are both out in New York, right? So even though they're on New York associations and New York Congress and stuff, they are over in regular Congress where it affects everybody. So I'm imploring everybody to look up their state and how you could get into office. Because as Unc reminded us yesterday, we can vote them out, but now we need to get us in those seats, right? Because there'll always be somebody else to take their place. But here's my issue. I'm thinking we got to shake them up, right? Shaking them up is getting them out of office. If they aren't shaken up about Jasmine Crockett losing their seat, then they need to be shaken up when we get Yvette Clarke or AOC out the paint. And then Eagles fan also goes on to say, enrich Black Americans telling us about how hard it is. He says, protected. Good morning, Chichia. I see Keita entered the room too. Good morning, Keita. And Hot Tub Tony says they only want us to have a leader so they have someone to demonize or compromise. Correct. And then Eagles fan states, or pocket watch us, asking what will we do with reparations? Thank you for the heart meet. If y'all are in the room, please complete your daily heart meets. Are you free to come up, Keita? Grand Rising, Rich Rising. Yeah, so they do that to us. And some of us, we do it to ourselves too, right? Because we do have those who say, well, hey, they do
Good
say, well, what
morning.
will
I'm
we do with
finally out of
reparations?
jail.
Good, good. I like you on your main page. I was looking at your backup page like, she look like Peter, but is that her? Then you started talking on one page. I said, yeah, that's Peter. Let me go follow her.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome. Of course. So these are my topics. Not sure if you could see. Good riddance, Jasmine Crockett. That's like a question. Will Yvette Clarke and AOC stand a chance this midterm election season? And who else should get the boot?
Oh, well, we know Ilya Omar got kicked off of her. She didn't get booted out of her seat yet, but she got kicked off. Well, it's like 9 different Republicans that's going against her, trying to get her kicked off that board that she on in Congress. So they working hard. They got 3 different charges they trying to get her on. One is the tax fraud. They looking into that winery. So Miss Omar is in the hot seat as of late. That's why she real quiet. I was watching.
Oh, how could I forget about her? She gotta go.
Yeah, she in
She
the
does.
yes, and she's in the hot seat. Her and Tim Walsh. They on Tim Walsh and trying to wonder how he was only spending $1 million, in prior, and then in 2024 it quadrupled, tripled 3,000 times, and he spent 300 million. So he said he don't even know how many children he have in his state, and he the governor. So yeah.
That's crazy. There was somebody on the panel stating that he was Ilya Omar's blood cousin, and I had stepped away from the phone. Otherwise, I would have stated, aren't y'all all blood cousins? Because the rate of inbred they got going on over there. But I guess it wasn't meant for me to say. But yeah, that was weird. He was getting really emotional. And I was just like, I'm over them. But I think for the most part, they kind of quieted down the Somalians. Is
Oh,
it
they
because,
real quiet.
but their TPSs are ending when? Did it end already or is that March 17th? Do you
Yeah,
know?
somebody said March or April. So I'm not sure. They keep, that lower court judge just keep on figuring out some type of loop, some type of loop. And I've been
Mm.
seeing Haitians on panels with white tea lawyers trying to figure out loopholes to stay here. So they
Tony
really
said March
they really
17th.
trying to like, I don't know, it's like secretly organized, but I don't know if people really, because we don't really go and visit their panels. But I was strolling through the
Right.
TikTok streets. It had to been like, I'm talking about, like, it was like a whole Haitian
Crazy.
panel and a white tea lawyer. And they was just asking him questions about the
Mhm.
13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, and how do they be able to stay, and what can they do when they don't want to go home. And he was kind of trying to tell them little loopholes. Like, so I think we gotta like really pay
Ah,
attention to this stuff that's going on. Like, they are trying to organize and figure out ways to stay in our country. Hmm.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah, they are. You was there when we sat in one of the town hall calls that Yvette Clark had
Yep.
with Hakeem Jeffries
Hmm.
and the Haitian clergy and stuff. So they are,
Yes.
and as if they get a immigrant backgrounded judge, they tend to be a little bit more lenient, as far as I can
Hmm.
tell, and that's how they were able to get the TPS extended or their stay extended. And while their stay is extended, even if their work visas or something like that is expired, they still can work.
Right. Ain't that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, like, it baffles me. I don't know what we need to do. I feel like we supposed to have some type of counter, something, because these people are like trying to organize, right? And
Right.
I don't like that. I don't like when immigrants try to get a brain. No. Mm-mm.
So
And then
I
when
want to say this.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then when they reaching out to lawyers, they trying to get like lawyers on their side and get them advice. I feel like we need to be countering that, doing the same thing. Like, what can we do to fight against that? Because no, we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are citizens. Like, this is our. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't we have a say so? So I'm just trying to figure out what can we do, because they're not getting out, and I feel like it's being overlooked, and I don't know if they're gonna be able to weasel their way in some type of way and stay.
Right. And when how long is temporary? Right? If you hear on the TPS, temporary shouldn't be no longer than, and I'm being lenient, 5 years.
Right. And they, all of them, over that 5 years for sure. So what are we doing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All of them over that 5 years for sure.
Yeah. Do you have another? So you said Ilhan Omar, but do you have any other politician you think should get the boot?
What is that bald headed black lady? I don't like her. The bald headed one, the one that she just got no hair.
Ayanna Presley?
Is that her? She gotta
Ayanna
go.
Presley.
Oh my, she
Yeah.
grinds
Yeah.
her. She is terrible. She immigrant crazy. Everything about her, immigrant, 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 immigrant. She at the podium screaming, going hard, getting arrested. Like, what? Like, we got people, our people getting strange fruited, all type of this falsely accused. I didn't see none of them going crazy for Rodney Hinton's son being unalived in the back, for being mistakenly having a pew pew, and they said that the car was stolen. It wasn't. Coming to find out, it was just up for repossession. But I never known a police to pull you over for a repossession. Usually if the repos don't get it, that's between you and the car company. So I never known for police to get in a repossession thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like they whole story. And then I don't know. I just don't see these black people going hard for us when we're getting harmed. So all of them, like, none of them stood up for none of us. So I feel like all of them should go, if you really ask me.
Exactly. And so the Somalis TPS ends 317. Eagles fan and Hot Tub Tony told us that Disa Harris says they absolutely are. Hot Tub Tony says that he feels temporary should be 2 years. Eagles fan says, I think by us waking up, voting them out of position, and continuing conversations like this is a great start. Hot Tub Tony says James Clyburn in South Carolina needs to go.
Ain't that who
Exactly.
Marcel, I mean, is his name
Right.
Marcel? Ain't that who he be
Marcellus
running
Williams.
against? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would love to back him. I would love to back that man if we could. If we could get him
Right.
in that seat, that would be so amazing.
And Marcel was one of the first like politicians that I saw speaking lineage based when he did a like a conference and they were all in the room and he was like nobody else is owed anything besides black Americans, and then I see and he said the Caribbean and stuff like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he was making an emphasis on who isn't entitled reparations from this government and who is. And then I seen other videos of him where he's talking about his roots and he's actually Geechee, I believe, and he'd be like, "I've been ya." He really, really puts on for
Mm-hmm.
his people, and
Yes.
which includes us,
Thank
right?
you. Yes, it includes us.
Yes, and so I would love to back him. I think I was surprised that Clyburn still had his seat. But I ain't out there in not California, South Carolina. So I don't know the makeup of the people out there. Like, why would y'all stick with Clyburn? Did y'all even vote? Like, how that happened,
They
right? Over
comfortable with it.
Marcel
Seems like
Dick.
our older. I don't like calling them elders because I learned from elders. Okay, I'm not learning anything from
Okay.
some of these folks, so I don't call them elders. I call them olders, them type that won't open their minds up. So we just got a lot of
Right.
olders that are stuck in their ways and in the way. You know what I mean? I feel like I don't know if this our last season of disappointment because I don't want to wish nobody early exit, but it's just time to weed them ones that just stuck out with that vote. And I think a lot of them don't even vote. I feel like a lot of people be voting for these old people in these nursing homes and in these facilities and stuff. So I don't trust that stuff. The mail in vote. Yeah. When they so old that they really not voting, I feel like they just like people picking for them. You don't think that be happening? I think that be happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so Lisa Harris says we really need more of us in these seats. Hot Tub Tony says he's in a poor district and most of them are older folks who are ill informed.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ill informed
Yeah.
and taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Keita,
Mhm.
the last time I went live, I asked everybody to come back Saturday with a woman of their choice that they would like to
Yeah, so guess
highlight.
what? I actually was looking up women in my own city, in the city of Flint.
Okay.
Okay, so
Ah.
a couple people did come up. So I just wanted to enlighten a couple that I really did like. So the first woman I'm going to recognize from the city of Flint that did some type of major contribution to our city and change was Mayor Karen Weaver. She was the first female elected mayor for Flint. So we've never had a female mayor. So she was our first mayor. She was amazing. She did a lot of good during the water crisis. She allocated a lot of money in the right places, and people that was in power didn't like her doing that. They think that she was for the people, and they got her out of there. And now we got Sunken Eye Neely, and I do not like him. I think he is a tether, and we don't know his background, but everything in my soul is telling me he is not one of us. So shout out to Karen Weaver for being the first female woman elected mayor in the city of Flint. She did a good job. I wish we could get her back in office. But if we can't get her, we working on getting Miss Little Flint in there as soon as she turned 21. Uh-huh. So that's one. And then we also have a woman by the name of Lois E. Holt. and she was recognized as one of the first Black school teachers hired by the Flint public school system in 1942. And she dedicated her life and her whole world to education and being an advocate for our city. So I just wanted to give a little Flint history and just let it be known that it is Black American women in the city of Flint that do positive things. That's it.
Appreciate you. I appreciate that, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and I chose three women, right? Very
Yes.
instrumental in politics. So we have Miss Fannie Lou Hamer, voting rights icon and organizer. Charlene Mitchell and Barbara Jordan were brought to my attention by Sister Wolf. Charlene Mitchell actually ran for president
What?
way before Shirley Chisholm. Well, before Shirley Chisholm, but we don't know her name. So if you look at the banner, it
Mm-hmm.
says Civil Rights Progress, iconic woman in politics that should be a household name. Charlene Mitchell should definitely be one. She didn't run under the Democrat ticket, she ran under the Communist Party. Barbara Jordan was against, I'm gonna say open borders and stuff, immigration the way we know it. She worked with the likes of President Clinton, who had the expedited or instituted the expedited removal legal framework, meaning depending on how a person enters this country, they will have no due rights. They're just going to be deported. So a lot of times people are saying, Trump, they got due process, this and that. I remind them of legal expedited removal, and that was by Sister Barbara Jordan, right?
Mm.
Right. Eagle Fan 71 says that was in 88, something like that. So, but
Mm.
Clinton wasn't in office in 88, right?
No, that
Or
was
was he?
Reagan. Was that Reagan or a Bush? No, that was a Reagan.
It was
Yeah,
Reagan.
Reagan was still in office then. Maybe, but you know, Clinton
But
was a
I'm going to
senator.
read a
But
little.
Clinton was some type of senator or something before he was president, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't
You
Bill
know, they
Clinton a
all in
senator?
politics before they get there.
Exactly. Except
Hmm.
Trump. Trump the only one. He the only one who hasn't been something before he was president. That's why he's so different.
But I got a little bit of notes about them, these three women, so it should come up. Oh, he was the governor of
Hmm.
Arkansas, Clinton.
Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
that's what he was,
So
the governor of Arkansas.
yeah. So it says, while Charlene Mitchell, Barbara Jordan, and Fannie Lou Hamer are pillars of 20th century civil rights and politics, I asked them about their religious practices. So there's no evidence of them practicing hoodoo. However, their spiritual lives were primarily rooted in traditional Christianity or secular political activism. However, Fannie Lou Hamer, she did write like spiritual hymns. They are used in hoodoo, in hoodoo conjure. So that's why I asked about hoodoo.
Oh. And hoodoo was
Right?
the counter of voodoo. Wasn't that our protection from the EVIL of the other one, the opposite of hoodoo, which was the voodoo, right?
Well,
Was
I don't think that well, hoodoo is our spirituality practice,
hmm
namely from our oppressors. Like,
okay,
you
okay,
know,
okay.
a lot of people try to attach it to West African religious systems. Voodoo is definitely a West African derivative.
Mm.
However, hoodoo, we argue, is not of West African anything for the simple fact that it was birthed here in North America. It has a lot of indigenous influence over it. And it's rooted in Christianity, right? So you can use psalms to for conjure work, stuff like that, spiritual baths, stuff like that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it is an indigenous science, if you want to call it that. It's a Black American slash indigenous spirituality system. And look at all these people who do have a West African spirituality system. Their nations are failing, and they are primarily the dominant society in their nations,
Oh.
right? So I get kind of upset when they label everything West African derivative or whatever. Now, could it have an influence or two from the continent? I believe that would be in certain places where our ancestors who were captives, if you don't have that history, that's fine. But there were still 100,000 captives brought here, right? Not the
Hmm.
12 million that they try to make it seem.
Right.
So if you were in places like Louisiana, maybe even South Carolina, because I believe the Gullah Geechee were able to hold on to some customs,
Mhm.
then maybe. But everything is not West African. I'm not giving hoodoo to the West Africans because if that was the case, why they can't practice it?
Right.
Why is it closed to them?
Right. And I know
It's
I
only
remember my
women.
adopted mama being, she was born in 1925, right? So she come from Birmingham, Alabama. And I always heard her talk about hoodoo, never voodoo. And she never talked, we never talked about Africa. So from her being a child of, she was born in 1925 in Birmingham. So, that was when it was still, very segregated. And she used to tell me how, they used to, be white people's, like, indentured servants pretty much, that's how she made
Hmm.
her money. Her mama was a wash lady. Like, she would wash clothes for her area, that town. Like, that's what she did to make her money. So, we never talked about Africa. And when I say my adopted mom had a sharp mind, and she would tell me all about her past and history and her mother and her grandmother, and nothing about Africa ever came up. Nothing. Not even from her. And she wasn't my biological parent. So I never knew nothing of Africa. You know what I mean? Even from her.
Yeah.
And she was 55 when I was born, so she was already mature up here, went through the Great Migration. She migrated from Birmingham to Flint, St. John area. She told me all about how St. John was and how segregated Flint was, and about the tornado that came and wiped out the White Tea area. Then they rebuilt it and gentrified it and allowed and started letting black people move in the north side because the whole St. John area was wiped out. And then that's when they started building up the factories. And that's when Flint got Buick and AC and all of our industry, our car industry places. Once St. John got had got wiped out, that's when they started building all the factories there. So that whole area became work for black Americans, and my adopted daddy, like I told you, he couldn't read or write, and he came from Chennisville, Louisiana, and he had a good job, and his one income took care of what all of us. You understand? And that was in the
Wow.
80s. That was in the late 80s and early 90s. He was able to take care of his whole household with his paycheck, and he couldn't even read or write.
Yeah.
Ain't that
Truly
something
amazing.
amazing? Right.
Yeah. And Hot Tub Tony says Hoodoo emphasizes respect to the ancestors and utilizes natural elements to influence spiritual forces. So I
Mm.
don't know everything, right? But if you think about it, a lot of things that we do, a lot of customs that we have, especially for like New Year's Eve and stuff like that, are Hoodoo based. And what I'm realizing, the more that I study Hoodoo, right? Because my grandmother was a seer. She
Mm-hmm.
definitely was, right?
Mm.
So the more that I realize it, hoodoo is embedded into my personal lineage, right?
Yeah.
Except we were calling it superstition.
There we go.
Does that
Like,
make sense?
when I used to,
Yeah.
if I brushed my mama feet with the broom, oh my gosh, she would go crazy. She would make me give her the broom. She would spit on the broom, burn the little ends of it and stuff like that. Like,
All right, like don't tell too much now.
oh, I'm sorry. Like, she would do stuff like that. Then when it came to cats, she felt a certain way. When we had certain little nosebleeds and this and that, like, she would do certain things with coins and string and all type of stuff. Like, I remember all those little things that she used to do. And it used to be so silly, but guess what? It used to work. What the hell?
Yes.
Yes. So I use some
Yes.
of those things on my kids, even to a point where she showed me how to make like homemade cough syrup. Like, but it's not like cough syrup, it stinks. It's like onions and all type of other stuff that you let ferment, and you gotta burp it and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So she actually showed me how to make a elixir that they used to make when they was kids. And guess what? We barely was sick. It was nasty as hell, but it worked, you know?
Yeah. And so Hot Tub Tony is saying even jumping the broom has roots in hoodoo, origins in hoodoo. And Eagles fan says, yep, Keita, I remember my mom's bugging out one time. I swept her foot. Uh-huh. And you couldn't drop a comb on the floor. My auntie would have a
Oh Lord.
fit.
Or don't if you comb your hair out and it come out, you better not throw it in that trash. No, she had a fit
Exactly.
if you threw your hair in the trash. You better burn it and make it little and then throw it away. If you she would go crazy. I used to be like, what in the world? Like, but like I said, it was a method to her madness because everything she taught me, it never led me wrong. So I was like, let me just
You
take
know
this
what?
lady's advice.
Right. I'm not going to read y'all comments because I do put my panels on YouTube and they don't need to know everything. They don't get to see the comments. They get to hear what I read on here. So I'm going to just read more about Barbara Jordan, Charlene Mitchell, and Fannie Lou Hamer. Right. So Charlene Mitchell, she was born 1930 and she transitioned in 2022. Early life. Born in Cincinnati, she moved to Chicago at age 9, living in the Cabrini Green housing project. She began her activism at 13, protesting segregated seating in theaters. Her career, she was a lifelong member of the Communist Party USA. She made history in 1968 as the first black woman to run for U.S. president. She was a lead organizer for the campaign to free Angela Davis and a fierce anti-apartheid advocate. Hoodoo practices, they say none. Her focus was on Marxist, Leninist, political theory, and domestic international solidarity. And since my themes of my lives are destroying the narrative of Tetherville, showing that Black Americans built New York, especially the enslaved ancestors here, because we did have a population of enslaved, indigenous, and free Black people, and they work together, y'all. So I don't understand why people think New York was built by immigrants. So Charlene Mitchell's New York intersection, because I did ask about their hoodoo practices specifically and their New York intersection. And it says she moved to New York City in 1968 and was officially nominated for president at a convention held at the Diplomat Hotel in Manhattan. She spent her later years working for New York unions and transitioned in Manhattan in 2022. So let's give a great shout out to Charlene Mitchell, all divine honors to the ancestors. Now we go into Barbara Jordan, 1936 through, so she was born 1936 and she transitioned in 1996. Her early life. Raised in a segregated neighborhood in Houston, Texas, she was a champion debater at Texas Southern University before becoming one of the first Black students to graduate from Boston University School of Law. Her career. She was the first Black woman elected to the Texas Senate in 1966 and the first Black woman from the South elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1972. She is iconic for her 1974 speech during the Nixon impeachment hearings. Um, and they say that she was known for her strict adherence to the U.S. Constitution and legal scholarship. They don't know of any spiritual practices, which would include hoodoo. Her New York intersection. While her career was centered in Texas and DC, she was a frequent figure in national politics covered by the New York Times and engaged with New York based political figures during her time in Congress. And now my final lady of today is basically a household name. Everybody knows and loves Fannie Lou Hamer. She was born in
Yeah.
1917 and she huh?
I said, yeah, I
And she
recognize that.
transitioned. Yeah. And she transitioned in 1977. Her early life. Born in Mississippi as the youngest of 20 children to sharecroppers, she began picking cotton at age 6 and worked on a plantation for nearly 20 years. Her career, a powerhouse organizer for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, also known as SNCC. She co founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, also known as MFDP. She is famous for her 1964 testimony about the brutal Mississippi appendectomy, forced sterilization that she suffered. Her hoodoo practices, they say she has none, but I just told y'all she made a song that is used in hoodoo conjure, right? And
Mm.
so it says her activism was deeply intertwined with Baptist hymns and biblical teachings on liberation. Her New York intersection. Hamer often traveled to New York to raise funds for the civil rights movement and was a close ally of New York based activists like Shirley Chisholm and co founding the National Women's Political Caucus. They just had to slip Shirley Chisholm's name in there, right?
Mm. Well, she's a tether. I mean, what, an immigrant? I ain't gonna call her a tether.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, they always gotta do that. But she was Caribbean.
So yeah, I'm not sure if she was Jamaican, Bohemian, some mess, right? But you know. So the final thing they say about Fannie Lou Hamer, they said Fannie Lou Hamer sang, um, "Keep Your Lamps Trimmed and Burning" as part of her regular repertoire of spirituals and freedom songs. The song is officially included in her posthumous album, "Songs My Mother Taught Me," released by Smithsonian Folkways Recordings in 2015. I say we all get that album, y'all. Hmm. Context of the song. Significance. Hamer used his spiritual to encourage civil rights activists to persist through exhaustion and danger. The lyrics, "Children Don't Get Weary," served as a direct message of resilience during the movement. Origins. It is a traditional Black American spiritual based on the biblical parable of the 10 virgins. Yeah, the 10 virgins. Matthew verse 25, 1 through 13. Is that how you say it? I'm not a Bible thumper. Symbolizing readiness and spiritual alertness. Album details. The recording appears as track 11 on Songs My Mother Taught Me and lasts approximately 1 minute and 9 seconds. Oh, and they have her attached to "This Little Light of Mine" for when she used to use freedom songs to galvanize protesters.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes. Good morning, Basic. If I was reading and you entered the room, I'm sorry I didn't shout you out. But if you did got your woman ready to spotlight for National Foundational Black American Women's Month, feel free to request up. I gave y'all a three
Hmm.
for one today. I want them all
I
to be a
gave y'all a
household
two. I
name.
gave y'all a two for one today. So me and Auntie know how to do our homework assignments. Hello.
Hello. Period.
Hello. Look, I
Hello.
was that kid in school,
Mm-hmm.
Auntie, that always did her homework. So I would be popping shit. Y'all didn't do your homework. That was me. They used to be like, ugh.
Right. Basic. Would you like to come up? I do have topics, even if I'm terrible. Are you? No. Mm-mm. But you could come. I'll probably come back Monday. A little bit earlier because if I come live at 11, other platforms are up, and people who are supposed to come with their homework are on those other platforms, and I don't want to. We all have our phase, and I stop going live regularly. You'll have two Monday. Okay, but you can still join. Listen to my topics. I have good riddance, Jasmine Crockett. That's a question. Will Yvette Clarke and AOC stand a chance this midterm election season? Who else should get the boot? Because we have about 400 uh, politicians up for reelection. And I found out how New York could get on the ballot themselves. We have to get signatures and we have to file it, and we got to get the paperwork in by April. I'm asking everybody in this city or state, find out the process of how to get us on there, because I advocate that we vote Yvette Clarke and AOC out, who are both out of New York, problematic for the whole country, the positions that they have, such as AOC is a United States representative, And then Yvette Clarke is on the CBC. She's also on the Caribbean Caucus, the Haitian Caucus. She's on the Congressional Caucus for Progressive Black Women and Girls. She's on a multitude of caucuses. And matter of fact, every time I do a deep dive on Yvette Clarke and upload it to YouTube, this shit sound crazy, right? So I'm gonna look it up right here and enter my deep dive on my lives, and that way it could just slip right through. I don't know if they purposely just, and I'm not into conspiracy theory, but sometimes you mention some names and things go haywire. Then it could just be a matter of my mic needing to be hooked up, a technical issue. So let me enter in purposes and her duties for it. Because that's one person that I literally want out of office. She actually, good morning, Parmela, Rich Rising. She actually got the Caribbean in 2009, a Caribbean Count Bill, which is their delineation bill. Her reasoning was that she wants the Caribbean to be visible within the Black banner, the Black ethnonym banner, right? But every time, and that also has some funding attached to it. Let me be clear. She wanted an accurate count of the Caribbean population here in the United States, and that comes with certain types of funding. She's been totally silent when U.S. freedmen, even if they identify as ADOS, a foundational Black American or Black American, and we still got some that go by African American, y'all. Gotta say that. She's been quiet on our delineation bills, but she authored the Caribbean Count Bill. She authored stuff for the Haitians and stuff too. But so, let me read this to y'all. In the 119th Congress, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke holds several prominent leadership roles and memberships across a wide range of caucuses. Her duties generally involve setting legislative priorities, presiding over caucus meetings, and advocating for specific community interests. Have we heard her address any strange fruitings in the South? Any anti-Black American hate crime bills for us? Have we heard that from Yvette Clarke? So her primary leadership roles on the Congressional Black Caucus, she is the chair. She serves as the 29th chair of the CBC. Her duties include presiding over caucus meetings, directing its policy agenda, and serving as a leading spokesperson for the conscience of Congress. Caught that? Her 2025 to 2026 priorities focus on voting rights, criminal justice reform, and healthcare equity. Congressional Caribbean Caucus, she is the chair. She leads efforts to promote economic development, disaster relief, and trade partnerships between the U.S. and Caribbean nations. I see the word economic there for the Caribbean, and I don't see economic on the CBC out of her duties, right? Congressional Caucus on Multicultural Media Chair. Now, I just told y'all, I want y'all to see this. What do I say how New York FBA is getting beat out, and that's why the Caribbean could be spotlighted on Juneteenth? The Latinos during Black History Month is why foundational Black Americans do not have power of the media. They actually have the media to help boost them. That's why we could see Fat Joe on platforms, right, over any of our own. So we do have Doggy Diamonds. He's definitely Black Americans standing on lineage business, especially when it comes to Fat Joe. He's on YouTube. Not sure if he's on any other platform, but I haven't seen him on spotlighted on where they taking him as an authority on hip hop. But I'm not everywhere on the computer. I'm just trying to show y'all that they have power of the media and they get spotlighted. And now this lady is on the Congressional Caucus of Multicultural Media as the chair. As the founder, she's the founder of this caucus. and chair, she advocates for diversity and equity in the media and telecommunication sectors, which is kind of harmful to me because on YouTube, I've seen a Latino speaking on our reparations hearings, and a journalist student who was like melanated, but fair skinned melanated type of person. And she wasn't Black American, she was Caribbean. And foundational Black American men were really going after them, like, why is this happening? Why is she a Caribbean speaking on reparations? And they were like, she's a journalist student. So me, with degrees in journalism, said, and there are Black Americans who should be allowed the opportunity that you're given to the Caribbean because of reparations affects them. But they were really defending the Caribbean lady, and we do understand Latinos are Caribbean too, correct? So these are ways that they are locking us out of certain industries. I'm gonna say media, home ownership. They get a lot of funding for even their nations. They get funding for. She's also on the Congressional Creators Caucus, co-chair. Clark launched this bipartisan caucus in June 2025 to represent the interests of digital content creators in the legislative process. What are we talking about here? You see what she's doing? She's just creating these things based off of trends. Okay.
In the muck. I don't appreciate that. And I don't understand how they are getting away with just like dissolving themselves in our community, in our culture. Like it's like just like an open door policy to like dissolve into us. You know what I'm like? That is not fair. Like that is not cool. And when they getting a pushback from us saying, no, we don't want y'all in our stuff. We want to be in our own space. How dare them tell us, no, sit back. We all melanated. We're going to be in here. We're going to be one. Like, how you going to just make us be one with you? You just going to force your way into making us be one? Like, that's not what's up. And then, like, no, like we just getting pushed more and more back and down to the bottom. Our voices are not being able to be heard. And it's like we getting drowned out. I don't appreciate that. And I don't understand why they want to even do, like, I don't understand how they even have the morality to just do that and be okay with it. Like they okay with erasing us. Like it's not affecting them in any kind of way, seeing that they are trying to erase us. And that like, I don't know, I can't really like grasp that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's like something I would never want to do. I don't understand.
No. I'm gonna end it on this note. I'm asking one final question. I really want y'all to understand the seriousness of, especially in New York, voting Yvette Clarke out. So I understand. I'm not gonna argue with y'all about presidents. If you voted Kamala, Trump, who else was running? Jill Stein. Like I'm not gonna argue with y'all when state, local midterms count the most. This is the time that we can get Yvette Clarke, AOC out of here if we organize properly, right? I want to remind y'all. Okay, let me land here. Ballot or the Bullet by Malcolm X. Was Malcolm X telling us we needed to be politically strategic? And so for us in today's time, ballot or the bullet means we could sit out the presidency, but even if you don't want to go to the polls during the midterms, use a mail-in ballot. Because otherwise, we're going to be stuck in a cycle of repeating and complaining the same lesson, which is what happens when you allow Yvette Clarke to be uncontested, unshook, unshaken, right? So, I've been seeing numbers of completion, meaning cycles are over, but the cycle won't be over collectively if we allow Yvette Clarke and AOC to remain in office, because AOC is also another one who wants to skip over our ancestors' enslavement and talk about the New Deal, redlining, mass incarceration, as if her people didn't willingly migrate here, as if they were targeted by mass incarceration. They willingly migrated here. I don't care when the island was acquired, it was still a willingness to come here from that island, right? Yes. And they willingly were criminals. We understand that mass incarceration is a direct effect from what? the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery in each state unless what? We were incarcerated. Then we could be subject to slave labor.
Mm-hmm.
So, how was a Latino a victim of mass incarceration if mass incarceration is a direct vestige of the Reconstruction era, the Emancipation era, eras that the Latinos weren't here?
Auntie, you know when your midterm election is? You already know the month and date?
I believe June. I got to be on the have my
Yes.
paperwork in by
It is
April
June
for June.
23rd.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about yours?
Mine's is August 4th, the day before my birthday.
I hate rushing stuff. Why I gotta be up to that first? Now,
Yeah, mine's in
I'm
August.
gonna try,
Well,
y'all.
mine
I'm gonna
came up in
try,
March.
and I'm also gonna try to get somebody else to do it. And I insist. We need a well-rounded, because I'll get up on the stage and just start the cursing. The New York FBA definitely motherfucking needs, you know what I'm saying? Yvette like to get the fuck about the day. Like, y'all don't want me up there for real.
So we gotta work hard because yours coming up first. So New York is a big focus, right? Because guess what? New York has a large GDP, just like California. New York is the second next biggest, right, in our country, right? It's California, then New York, right?
Yeah.
Right. So New York is and then California's is in June too, but there's June 2nd.
But we gotta get on board with Dynasty, Miss T, Big Stepper. Like, what are they planning on getting their ass in
Yes,
seats?
Big Stepper is on it. Everybody is on the local election. So I think when we get on the panel next time, Auntie, we need to bring that up.
Okay. But let me read the end of
Okay.
for now. And next slide, I'll enter some more information about Yvette Clarke. So it says, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke's legislative record shows a strong focus on Caribbean and Haitian interests, through targeted bills and funding resolutions, while her work for foundational Black Americans primarily centers on broader historical reparative studies and general civil rights advocacy that does, and I gotta add this, that does not lock out the Caribbean or the Haitians or the Africans. So while she's specifically getting things targeting her demographic, right? For us, it's broader, which means everybody could latch on. So it says Caribbean and Haitian legislation. This is very important, y'all, because we're fighting for delineation, but they delineated first. So I don't know what they're talking about on this app. So it says Caribbean Count Bill, HR 2071. First introduced in 2010, this bill calls for a dedicated origin checkbox on the U.S. Census form. Its purpose is to ensure an accurate count of Caribbean nationals to better distribute federal funding and recognize their economic impact. And then she has the Luovitora Investment Plan. In May 2024, Clarke co-introduced a resolution proposing a 10-year, $50 billion development program for rebuilding and stabilizing Haiti. Entire TPS Act. Clarke authored this bill to extend temporary protected status and provide a path to permanent residency for Haitian and Central American beneficiaries. Haitian Women and Girls Resolution, introduced in January 2016, resolution addresses the distinct humanitarian security needs of women and girls in Haiti. For Caribbean Haitian interests. Haiti foreign assistance for fiscal year 2023, about $4.9 billion was allocated to Haiti with requests for $291.5 million in fiscal year 2024 to support security and the Haitian National Police. MSS support. The U.S. pledged at least $380 million to support the multinational security support MSS mission in Haiti. Regional aid. Clarke supports ongoing U.S. collaboration with CARICOM to provide humanitarian aid across the Caribbean region. Now let's go into her legislation for us, y'all. And it says legislation for foundational Black Americans. While Clark advocates for African Americans, they use that term broadly, right? While Clark advocates for African Americans broadly, her bills specifically targeting the descendants of enslaved people in the U.S. typically focus on study and recognition rather than direct individual funding. Now, did she need a study to understand that the Haitians and the Caribbeans needed funding? I didn't
No,
mention
ain't that something
right.
else? Why the fuck do we gotta always be studied? Like that is
Now
so
listen.
annoying.
Yeah. Now
Karen
listen to
Bass
this
didn't
part.
need no study to give them immigrants that debit card when she said that it was okay for them not to go to work even though they was illegally in our country. Like they never have to study that. They didn't have to study nothing in Minnesota. They not studying nothing down in Texas while they letting them build up all these dang on Muslim. Like nobody ever need to study except for us. And that's that. I don't understand. Like I feel like that's a dog whistle or something for something. Like because it's not really a study. It's something else. Like you know what I mean?
Yes, well, Brother World, not sure if you're familiar with him. He says they use us as a sort of as a, we was talking about it, the pyramid scheme, where they just we need to study, and then you pay the commission or the people conducting the study a certain amount of millions, and it's just a never-ending cycle of studies needing to be done, but no real work or accomplishments, right? In the
Right.
way of us getting direct cash payments, land restored, so on and so forth. But these are the things that Yvette Clarke advocates for foundational Black Americans. And it says HR 40, the commission to study and develop reparation proposals, not even packages, proposals. Clark is a major supporter of this landmark bill, which seeks to establish a commission to study the legacy of slavery and recommend remedies, including a national apology and compensation proposals. First of all, the bill doesn't, if it's using the terms African American, Yvette Clarke is also identified as an African American. The likes of N Cobra, thank you for gifting, y'all. Thank you for doing your daily heart meets. My page is private, so you cannot share. Um, it does not lock out the Caribbean who are identified as African American or marking the Black/African American box. This bill, I believe, was written by another Caribbean, right? So, of course, she's going to support that because it isn't specifically for us, depending on the wording. Also, Yvette Clarke supports the Pickford settlement support. In 2010, she voted for the 4.6 billion claims resolution act, which settled long-standing discrimination claims by African American farmers. Didn't I just say that it's very unfair that Black American farmers who may have had their land taken from them, we have a family right now where the white tea people are harassing the mess out of them, unaliving their animals, telling them they deserve to be in jail. Like these are the things Black American farmers go through, and people like who just migrated here, who don't have that history of having anything taken from them by eminent domain here on this land, dropping blood to save their land, or because jealous white tea people just wanted the land, are able to benefit off of things that our Black American farmers are entitled to. It's not fair. A commemorative act. She has pushed for the awarding of Congressional Gold Medal to enslaved Americans. And it doesn't say U.S. chattel slavery descendants, and could come the Haitians who swear they're the true Black Americans. Here could come the Jamaicans, the Trinidadians, the this, the that, and the third. And supports the National Museum of African American History and Culture. We got to get that word retired. Because I got to tell y'all, Jesse Jackson, yes, he transitioned. But this word is on a lot of resources, the ethnonym, African American. And we can't just let them have it because you see, our policies are written with some term African American. We cannot just let the word go, but we can take it out of their usage and out of use period, guys.
Exactly. We can definitely not leave the word lingering around. They can't wait for us to do that. Do you know how many of them are salivating, waiting to take over that name? Yeah. So we can't let it go where, like you said, where it can be used, but we got to figure out a way where we can retire it. Like, I don't know how we're going to do that. We're going to need a lawyer for sure.
So I'm going to end it with the comparison summary. So let's just say this. Her Caribbean Haitian focus, primary legislation, immigration, which is TPS, specific development plans in the tune of 50 billion, and census recognition. For foundational Black American focus, it's just the study of reparations, HR 40, and civil rights recognition. For direct funding, billions proposed allocated for international aid and regional stabilization. For foundational Black Americans, she was able, they say she secured or was able to propose or allocate multi-billion-dollar settlements for specific discrimination. For example, farmers, but we know the farmers, some of them are listed as African American. Like her people are identified as African American. So are our farmers really getting whatever she proposed to be allocated? Her legislative goal for the Caribbean Haitians is immediate humanitarian relief, legal status, and regional investments. For foundational Black American, her focus is long-term study of historical injustice and systemic reform, which they benefit from. So we don't have anything specifically for us. Thank you, everybody, for liking the live and for staying with me. And thank you to Keita. Special shout out to you for actually doing the homework.
You welcome, Auntie.
So
Yeah, I get a gold star and y'all don't. Thank you.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, what kind of candy you like? Maybe Auntie could give you some candy too.
Yeah,
Give you like the paper bag.
I'm a old head. It's so weird. You're gonna laugh at the candy bar. That's my favorite.
Which one? Mr. Goodbar?
No, I'm Enjoy.
I'll enjoy it. Oh, I don't like coconut. So
I
how
like
come
German
Tony says
chocolate
this
cake,
was a
so
dope live?
it tastes like
Oh,
German
you like
chocolate.
German chocolate cake?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like the original. We ain't gotta add no German to that chocolate, man.
You right. You right. You right. You right.
So Hot Cup Tony says this was a dope live, VX. Thank you. Monday, I'm gonna be live before 9 a.m. If you're an early bird, come through with your woman of choice, because all month, and if you know a powerhouse couple, Sister Keita here loves Black love, and she says during Women's Month we should emphasize love,
Love and
Black love.
black love and black baby.
That's right. Any final words for this segment, Keita?
Nope. I just appreciate everybody for tapping in. And Auntie, I love when you hold your lives. They are always intellectual. I love the safe space. I just love the discussions that we have. We learn a lot. We get a lot accomplished. And I just want to tell you, continue on and don't lose faith, and just know that we love you and we support you. And whatever you need us to do, we got your back.
Thank you. I love y'all too. And Parmela says sweet tarts. Oh, sweet tarts the candy. BX is righteous and informative. Thank you, y'all. And Murdoch says that's right. All right, and on that note, because I know other lives are up, I know it's Saturday, y'all might have errands or even little ones that y'all might want to take to the park. If you're in a nice, the candy, yeah, I like those too. If y'all are in a nice part of the nation where the climate, I hear Georgia is looking nice today, as per Mr.
Yes,
Ether.
well,
I'm gonna wait.
it's even nice in Michigan. It's like 50 some degrees. I'm from Michigan, so when it gets 50, 58, we go outside down here. You feel me? So I'm about to
Put
get
some
real
clothes
pretty
on. Don't
today.
catch
I'm about to
pneumonia.
get cute and go to Detroit. Mm-hmm.
Carmela says pretty and Cali, blue and pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I want to tell everybody peace, love, light, and reparations to my foundational Black Americans or anybody of the lineage who could identify as such. I love us for real. Be one, family.
Be one. Yeah.
See y'all Monday.
See you Monday,
Have a blessed
Auntie.
weekend.
All right. Bye.
All right.
BX the storyteller, bringing the spark. No one does it better. BX, you've heard the rest, but she's the to modern schemes, unraveling truths and chasing dreams.